5 minutes past 10, our talkback lawyer David Whiting is here to help you with free legal advice. You better call now if you want one of the spots on the switchboard. 1300 222 774. The switch always fills up quickly. 1300 222 774 if you want some free legal advice from David Whiting. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
A couple of interesting things have happened in the last week. On
your side of the table or mine?
Okay, what's happened on your side?
Well, on my side, I've just been looking at some legislation changes.
Yes.
Because Parliament rose for the last time before the state election, and they introduced and passed the Long Service Leave Portability Act, which is fantastic for people in community services sector, but contract cleaning and security industry, but it doesn't start till July next year unless they bring it in earlier.
Right.
So it allows for effectively an employer will pay a quarterly levy in respect of salaries, and that will form the basis of a long service leave entitlement for staff, which I think is a positive. They've revised there are two pieces of legislation revising the Residential Tenancies Act. Now, the residential...
Just the one about pets, allowing tenants to have pets?
Well, John, the Residential Tenancies Act this week is 460 pages in length.
Really?
Yes.
460
pages, yes.
Gosh, it used to be about a tenth of that.
Well, yes, but they've added rooming houses and they've added caravan parks and, so not unreasonable. But the amending legislation is 496 pages.
On top? Or replacing it?
No, well, I would have thought at 496 pages, wouldn't you start again?
Yes, you would.
But so the amending act, but they're doing things like they're changing language. So I haven't, I didn't have time to scan 496 pages before I came in today, but I think it's amazing when the amending legislation...
10 minutes?
When the amending legislation is longer than the primary legislation.
Yes.
And it's not due to come into effect until July 2020.
But is the amending legislation basically a rewrite of the previous law?
No.
Does it embrace it and encompass it, or does it add to it?
It will add to it, my view, is probably 560 pages.
Oh, my goodness.
So, and it's a fairly complex piece of legislation now.
I'm not sure why relations between landlords and tenants need to be so complicated.
Well, they've introduced a new piece of legislation, a 17-page amending act, which is due to start July 2019, and it allows for residential tenancy agreements for more than 5 years. So there's a form if the agreement is less than 5 years, and if it's 5 years or more, there's a new form.
Okay, so if indeed you are prepared to say, look, I want to rent your house for 10 years, or if you're a landlord, I want you as a tenant and I'm happy for you to stay for 10 years,
yes,
you in fact have rights that you don't have if you're only renting for 1 year.
Yes.
And vice versa. You have as a landlord obligations that you don't have if you're only renting it to someone for 1 year.
But there are some very large companies now who, instead of building units to sell, are now building units to let.
Yes, on the basis that people can't afford to buy anymore.
Yes, it's a recognition of the change.
Yes. We're more European style, where if you go to Rome or London or Paris, hardly anybody owns a house. People rent for their whole life.
Yes, and never stop. And there's a couple of interesting cases running at London at the moment where there is a provision in most leases that say you won't make any modifications without the landlord's consent.
Yep.
And if you make the modifications, then the lease is finished. So this is, somebody makes some improvements in their unit and the landlord comes along and says, you didn't get my permission for that, I'm taking the unit back.
Mm. They've also got, there are large parts of central London owned by a member of the royal family. I can't remember which one it is.
No, you're thinking of the Duke of Westminster.
Who owns half of metropolitan London.
He owns Mayfair.
And you only get 99-year leases. You don't get freehold title anyway.
Yes, yeah, and the only freehold land was he bowed to the government's will and handed over or sold the site of the US Embassy. So most of that area is leasehold. That would have been a battle.
Oh, it's a silly, silly world, is it not?
They will be interesting pieces of legislation when they come through. I'm really impressed with the long service leave portability. Residential tenancy, why would you produce a piece of legislation that's not going to start for 15 months?
Because that's gone through, has it?
Yeah, they're both now acts.
Okay,
but neither of them are proclaimed to take effect.
No.
But what we now have is pieces of legislation that says if we don't introduce it or parts of it by a particular time, then on that day they become the law.
They become the law?
They become the law.
Okay, but partly that's because some of these changes are so big that the industry needs time to adjust and prepare.
Yes. Yep.
So that's fair enough too. All right, anything else?
No, that's it.
No other gossip, no other scandal?
No, heaven forbid.
New judges
Pure than the
appointed
driven
or
snow.
anything like that?
I haven't read, John.
I've heard
But
a
it's
few.
Tuesday's the big day for appointments.
Yeah, I've heard a few rumours.
Because at 11 o'clock is when the
Governor
Executive
and
Council
Council,
meets.
yeah.
So,
See
as
what
we
they come
learnt
up with.
once upon a time.
Yeah, well, there you go. 1300 222 774 is the number. 1300 222 774. Sandra in Mornington wants some advice about a matter that's very much in the news. Morning to you, Sandra.
Hi, John, and thank you, David, too. I just want, technically not really advice, because I guess we haven't got any. I live in a retirement village in the Mornington Peninsula,
Yes.
and we have a contract, and this is a bit of a, I won't mention the name of the company. We have a contract where when you move in and you go to a solicitor, they say, that's as good a contract as you're going to get for a retirement village. Bearing in mind, we were in the 60s when we moved in, 70s
Yes.
when we moved in.
Yep.
Everything you pay $400 a month. That technically is for the common area. We thought it was for things that happened in our unit, like dishwashers, stuff like that. Even the water outside, the
It's
solar
what-
panel.
what you've got,
not,
Sandra.
It's not included.
No. No,
I was amazed. I'm sorry.
Well, think of the owners, think of the management company is like another council. So you've got a set of council rates,
Yeah.
and then you've got a set of other charges to do the gardens and make sure the internal roads are maintained, and so you're paying for that in addition. So but you will have been given disclosure documents at the
We
start.
did, but we went to a solicitor, and God bless her, she did say it's better than most. But for me, long-term maintenance is for like 15 years down the track.
Yes.
And we have. I'm on the committee of management, but we have almost $1 million in that account.
Yes.
But it doesn't. I just want people to know that it doesn't affect. They have to still pay for when the what's it called, the solar panel went last week.
Yes.
It doesn't contain that at all. You have to pay for everything.
Yep. Think of it as an extra set of rates. It's not prepaying maintenance on your unit.
No, that's what we thought it was when we moved in. And I'm sorry. I'm just wanting to let people know that when they do this and they sign up, even though solicitors are wonderful people, they need to tell them that it doesn't include anything.
So was that not clearly explained to you when you sought legal
it wasn't clearly
advice?
explained to us. Actually, our long-term maintenance and the funds we pay every month is actually for the common areas.
Yes.
Has actually nothing to do with your home.
Yeah, it's like, as I said, if you think of it as council rates,
Yeah.
where the money gets spent on council property, you get a much better idea of what it's for.
Yeah. Thank you both.
All right.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
Sandra.
it. Thank you, John. Thank you, David.
That's a pleasure, Sandra, but it does raise questions, David. Undoubtedly, you've also been in the position where someone's tossed a contract across the table and said, can you tell me what this all means? How deeply into detail do you get when someone, maybe it's a Sandra from Mornington, comes in and says, what does this all mean? And now when the reality dawns on her a few years down the track, she's not happy.
The retirement villages contracts can easily run to 50 pages, John.
Yes.
And, and contain multiple variations of documents. There are leases, there are loans, there are sales with repurchase rights. There are a million ways that these documents are in fact structured.
Right.
But they're all designed to favour the operator of the village. So it's a thing where if the operator of the village gets two doctors to say that you're not well enough to stay there, then in lots of contracts they can make you go. To me, one of the problems with them...
Sorry, they can throw you out of a retirement village?
No, they can terminate your right to stay there, John, which
They can
then
throw you
leads
out.
to... Yes. Yeah.
Does that happen often?
Don't know. It's a matter that you tend to bring to people's attention. What can cause this to come to an end? And there are, even antisocial behaviour can cause it to come to an end.
Well, I can understand. There may be someone who's extraordinarily disruptive.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Harry in Diamond Creek. Morning to you, Harry. You're through to David.
Morning, David. Morning, John. My house backs onto a reserve. And on the reserve, there's a children's playground, which is approximately 30 metres away. Just before last Christmas, there was some torrential rain that washed pine bark off the children's playground.
Yes.
The weight of the water and the pine bark broke my fence, and the pine bark blocked the gratings on 2 stormwater pits,
Yes.
flooding 2 bedrooms. Now, the carpet was replaced through insurance, so that was okay, but I had a $500 excess, which I'm attempting to claim for the council. Now, when the playground was built, it was in accordance with Australian standards
Yes.
prevailing at the time, which stated that the depth of the pine bark was 250 mil.
But this is really
And
a question not about the depth of the pine bark, but how are we coping for drainage? So how was it drained?
No, sorry. If I could just continue. And the pine bark was 250 and a containment wall was built 250 high. Now, 4 years ago, Australian standards changed the depth of the pine bark from 250 to 350, but the council didn't change the height of the containment wall. The only way they could put the pine bark on was in a convex manner.
Yes.
My question is the council legally liable or negligent as they did not raise the height of the containment wall to suit the new height of the pine bark required?
No. If the general proposition is that you measure your compliance with the standards at the time of construction, so you don't have to keep redesigning buildings and pulling them down and starting again every time there's a change in the standard. But I would have thought that under the Water Act you would have had about Section 16, you would have had rights against the council for not making adequate arrangements for the discharge of water from their block.
Harry, what's your loss? Have you got a dollar figure?
Oh, no, it's only $500.
Well, sorry, Harry, it's not. It's all the cost of your repairs. Because in theory, if you get some money from the council, you may need to give that to your insurance company.
Have you claimed on your insurance, Harry?
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
It was covered through insurance.
Then you no longer have a claim. Your insurance company owns your claim. Once you claim, it becomes theirs to recover, not yours.
Oh, I see.
Right, so, but I've had a couple of dealings with council where they've put a car park in and the cars have ridden up on the barrier and knocked over somebody's fence. And their argument there is that the council hasn't taken adequate steps to ensure that vehicles don't rise up and hit the wall.
Okay, but can we clarify, when you make an insurance claim
Yes,
and you pay an excess,
yes.
can you recover the excess from the people who you say caused you the loss while the insurance company is chasing your claim from the same people?
No, the rule is that when you make a claim, if you like, the fruits of the claim belong to the insurance company. So your claim is you make a claim on XYZ Insurance. XYZ Insurance, having satisfied your claim, then owns the obligation that the other person breached.
And so there are some insurers who in fact say, if we recover, we will give you back your excess.
Yes, they're becoming fewer, John.
Yeah, very much fewer, but there are a few who do it that way.
Yes.
But unless you've got one of those policies with one of those insurers, then your excess is gone in the situation.
It's the fee for processing the claim.
Yeah.
It's not a measure of your loss.
Pat in San Remo, good morning and welcome to you.
Oh, good morning, John. I'm David. Mine's insurance, but I've had this insurance.
Pat, I've got you up as loud as I can, and we can hardly hear you. I
Sorry,
don't know what you're
can
doing
you
to
hear
the
me
phone.
now?
That's better, thank you.
Better, good. Mine's insurance. I've been with this company 25 years. I have a policy contents and my car, buildings contents, my car, and in the contents there's a separate part of valuable items.
Yes.
And they're insured for $12.50. Now, there's an excess on the contents of buildings. There's an excess on the car. There isn't an excess on my policy for this.
Yes.
And I've recently made a claim, $399, and I was informed that they'd put on an excess of $250. So when I queried this, I said, look, I've just renewed this policy. There's no excess on this part. I've claimed before for valuable.
Yes.
And the answer I got from them is this: just because it isn't there doesn't mean to say it isn't there. And,
Lovely.
wonderful.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Isn't
Just
that
because it's not there
Yeah, it
doesn't mean it's not there.
So what does David think of that?
Well,
Just
I think it's
because-
wonderful. I didn't know Monty Python were writing insurance policies now, but Pat, the
Yes.
answer from if it's not there, it's not there. That's the end of it. You could ask them. There are two parts to your insurance policy. You get a summary, and
Yes.
there's a thing called a PDS, a product disclosure statement.
Yes.
Which is
And-
like a booklet.
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
And that's the one that contains all the terms of your policies, not just a summary. So you can download it from their website and make sure you get the right one, because as they update the policy, then that on your renewal, the new rules apply. So have a look and have a read of that, and then be satisfied that there is no excess for the valuable items.
And if there isn't an excess, but the insurance company are trying to create one,
Yes.
where do you go?
There's an insurance company ombudsman.
Yeah, we've just seen a whole Royal Commission telling us how useless they can be sometimes.
Well,
But maybe that's mean they've lifted their game.
well, they certainly will, won't they, John?
I hope so. But that's where you go first.
No, well, you go there first. If you don't get what you need there, you can go to VCAT.
Excellent. John in Box Hill is next. Hi, John.
Hey, good day, guys. My question is, with the sale of a property, do I need, if I want to remove certain plants after the sale, do I need to disclose that to the prospective buyer?
When you say certain plants, are they in the ground or in pots, John?
Yeah, both. Pots.
Well,
and,
pots
in the
are
ground.
easy, right?
Yeah.
If the pots are not embedded in the soil, you can take the pots and the contents of the pots. But if you want something that's planted, my view would be that that's the state of the property at the time you sold it, and the normal rule would be that they stay with the property.
Oh, okay.
Are they particularly significant, John?
Yeah, some are sentimental. Some were given to us by our fathers.
So, John, why would you not ask? But if you're going to ask, can I pull out this one, and this one? If I was buying, I'd come along and say, well, what are you going to put in instead?
Yep.
Ah.
Are they mature trees? What are we talking about here, John?
Yeah, trees. Yeah, trees, but not big trees, about 2 metres high.
Well,
There's a few trees I want to take with
so
me.
okay, so John can do anything by negotiation. Is that
Yes, he
right,
can.
David?
Yes.
So if there's a particular tree that was handed down in the family and you're now the current custodian of it, John, then you could say to the buyers, look, do you mind if we take that tree out, but we put something like this in instead, and we'll buy something at the nursery that you want?
Okay.
So do a
sounds
trade.
good. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
For your time. Thank you.
All right, and we have to explain the concept of fixtures to people to answer John's question, really, don't we, Dave?
Well, the law assumes that everything that is attached to land is land.
Yes.
So we have a concept of real property and personal property.
Mm-hmm.
Real property is pens, books, the desk, that kind of stuff.
Things that you're portable.
Yes. But if it's attached to land, like a building or a plant, then the assumption is that that forms part of the land and part of the land that John sold.
So a heater that's plumbed in or a fridge that's plumbed in is different to a heater or a fridge that's freestanding and just plugged into a power plant.
Well, let's assume you've got a fridge with a water feed, as a number of people do. I'd still be inclined to describe that. So, for example, a dishwasher is normally plugged in.
Yeah, and is that a fixture?
I would have said today it's a fixture. I'm not sure about the fridge.
Yep.
But, so for in America, all of those things get left. In Australia, they tend to get taken.
If they're built into cupboards and the like, then they're generally regarded as fixtures. And if there's any ambiguity, you just mention them in the list of attached items on the contract, don't you?
You normally list chattels.
Yeah.
My practice is to list both chattels in a broad sense what you're leaving and in a specific sense what you're taking.
I remember
you might
once-
want the chandelier, for example.
I remember once, years ago, back when I was lawyering, that some people threatened litigation over a sundial. And the argument was whether a sundial in the front garden, which was on a pedestal but was not concreted to the ground, but was fairly heavy and hard to lift, whether that was or wasn't a fixture.
I would have said it's a chattel.
Yes, that's what we argued too.
Yep. Did you win?
It came to
resolved,
a
didn't it?
friendly conclusion.
It resolved,
Yes.
okay.
We didn't have to take that matter all the way through. But that's the sort of thing that happens all the time. Michael in Hoppers Crossing, good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, gentlemen. I've got an elderly relative, and we sort of mislaid her the other day just for a short while. Everything's fine. But I wanted to know, I believe there are apps that can track her mobile phone. So we could have found out that she was actually at a friend's house. Are they legal? I'd obviously have her permission.
Well, if you've got her permission, it's just not a question. The answer is she's agreed.
Oh, well, that's fair enough.
But to put them on someone else, to put them on your phone, that's okay. I would have, if you put them on someone else's phone without permission, I think that's wrong. But to me, that's a form of surveillance.
I'd agree there. But as I say, if she gave me permission and I put it on my smart tablet or whatever it is...
Yes, then I have no problem whatsoever.
Good. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. Now, David, we don't take questions by text message.
But today...
David, I am the managing director of a major media company. I've been sacked by the board citing an immediate termination clause, but no sufficient reason has been given in relation to my sacking. Do I have any legal grounds?
Depending on your contract, yes, you do, John. It depends on what it says, and the general presumption is that you either get terminated for cause or terminated on reasonable notice. And I don't know none of us know what the contract might say.
No.
So that's where you start.
Yes. And best wishes to Michelle. Robin in Phillip Island. Good morning to you, Robin.
Good morning, John and David. Look, I've got two questions, if I may. One's a very easy one. We have just purchased a new Flash Harry mattress and tested them out in the shop and everything and went in 4 or 5 times to test it. Thought that was the one.
4 or 5 times, Michelle? Sorry, Robin.
Robin, I want to know, Robin, was it overnight?
Well, we should have had it overnight because we've actually got the mattress back and it's not fit for our purpose. We specifically said we do not want a hot mattress, and this mattress is radiating heat. We've only slept in it twice and it's all packaged up ready to go back, and they refuse to take it back. What are our rights?
Well, what's a hot mattress?
A hot mattress is different to a hot husband. A hot mattress is one that you cannot sleep
Robin,
in.
they might go very well together.
No, unfortunately they don't.
Sorry, you're wanting a slightly used mattress to be sent back as if it's new?
Well, it's only, we slept in it 2 nights.
Yeah, but you did sleep in it 2 nights.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Robin, it's I suppose that you've got this definition issue as to exactly what it was that you contracted to buy, and I don't know how you define a hot mattress. So that's, if the requirement, if one of your specifications was that it not be a hot mattress, I really don't know what a hot mattress is.
No, but do you get a warranty, or is there a cooling off period with mattresses? I don't know, Robin.
Well, there are in some shops. Some shops you've got a 90-day sleep on it, and if you don't like it, take it back.
Yeah.
90 days?
I've heard 30-day ones, but look, that's simply reflected in the price, Robin. The question is, did you get a mattress? Did the mattress meet the specification? If it did, then, Robin, that's your problem. If it didn't meet the specification or the agreed position, then it's their problem.
Yeah.
So you could go to VCAT and you could come along and you could say, I didn't get what I ordered.
Yep.
And the question will be, well, what did you order? I ordered a mattress that wasn't hot. What renders this mattress hot? That's the question you need to answer, Robin.
You might need some expert witnesses on mattresses if you're to run that argument, Robin. How much was the transaction for?
A bit over $3,000.
Just for the mattress alone?
Yep.
Wow. I can see why you're concerned.
There are issues, John, about what the mattress is made of, whether it's latex or springs, and how much foam there is in the top, and because the foam renders it hotter because it doesn't sweat very well.
Doesn't it?
Yes, we're going from a foam mattress to this other mattress.
Yes.
And their argument is that there's nothing in that mattress that would make it hot. Well, sleeping in it, it's damn hot.
Well, there are health regulations that attach to returning used mattresses, surely.
Which is why you never see them at second-hand goods stores. They all get thrown out.
No, they'll get recycled, don't they? In fact, they now get recycled.
Yes, there are a couple of companies that dismantle mattresses.
Yeah, they pull them apart and recycle all the fluff. So, Robin...
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Because it's...
I don't like your chances, Robin. In order to have the discussion either with VCAT or the retailer, you've got to say what constitutes a hot mattress.
Have you tried turning it over? Maybe the other side's cooler than the top, Is it one of those ones that's got a kind of a top
A
layer?
pillow top, John.
A pillow
Yeah,
top?
no,
Oh, David's right up on this.
It has got a pillow top and it weighs a ton and you couldn't turn it over.
Okay, and the pillow top's not
Yeah.
removable?
No, it's all built in.
Well,
Sorry, Robin.
Should Robin sleep on it, or has she got to make her mind up right now?
Just move to a lighter doona, Robin.
I'm using a sheet.
Now leave the window open.
Just think what
No?
you're saving on your electricity bill.
All right, well, we'll move on from that one.
Thank you, Robin.
I'll try and dispose of it. Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
Sorry. Our son has got a Volkswagen which has been suffering from the Volkswagen cancer, which is the one that what's it called? The computer keeps playing up and
Yes.
it dies. It slows down and dies and comes back in. He's taken that back, I don't know how many times now, to be rectified, and they'll rectify that for a few months and then something else will break down on it. And it's been in the workshop probably 11 months out of 12.
I think there's a class action about this particular model of this particular brand, Robin.
I'll tell you about it next week then, Robin.
Yeah. I think you might want to do a bit of internet searching too about that particular model of that particular car.
But 11 months out of 12, John,
Yes.
I would have thought you'd get up on the lemon laws at that rate.
I would have thought so. Now, look, I didn't even get a reaction from Robin or from you when I said there was a cooling off period for a hot mattress, which leaves me bitterly disappointed in everybody because I put a lot of effort into these jokes.
It's not readily apparent. They just come off the cuff, John.
It's all in the timing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Don't give up your day job, I think was the advice I was given. No, I was given. Thank you, David. David Whiting, our talkback lawyer. If you didn't get through today on the talkback for free legal advice, well, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a crack at it next week when David Whiting will return.